Hello everybody, this is Eric Hutting and this is my PE 589 final capstone presentation. I'm very excited to share the information that I have gathered through research and through a study that I've conducted as a former college baseball player and as a current college baseball coach. I'm very interested in this topic because I would like to understand and be knowledgeable about this topic so that I can share this information with young athletes who are looking to make a decision on specialization, but aren't sure whether or not that decision would benefit them or hurt them in the long run of their career. And that's what my study was all about. The title of my paper and presentation is Early Sports Specialization and its Impact on College Baseball Players. The purpose of my study was to identify the impact of sports specialization on the baseball athlete. And I have two research questions that I have. One, what are the benefits of sports specialization on the baseball athlete's career? And number two, what are the detriments of sports specialization on a baseball athlete's career? There's a lot of research that has already been conducted about the topic of sports specialization in general. There are a few studies that I found about specialization in baseball specifically. One study that I found that was conducted in 2016, the purpose of it was to examine the prevalence of sports specialization among high school athletes. 308 athletes were surveyed, and what the researchers found was that athletes from small schools were most likely to be categorized into a low specialization group, meaning that they were most likely to play multiple sports. So if you're from a small school, most likely to play multiple sports. If you attended a large school, you were most likely to be categorized in the high specialization category, meaning that you were most likely to specialize in one sport in high school. What these researchers also found was that high specialization athletes were most likely to have suffered an overuse knee injury. And that's kind of a general theme throughout the research that I found that has already been conducted, is that athletes who specialize at an early age are more likely to or they're more susceptible to sustain an injury due to the fact that they're specializing in the sport. For example, a study was done in 2010 that kind of sought to understand the risks among pitchers, young pitchers that have specialized. It was a 10-year follow-up study to examine potential causes of injuries. Their hypotheses that they came up with before the study was that causes of injury would be increased amount of pitching, throwing curveballs at a young age, and playing catcher as well as pitching. And what they came up with, the participants in the study included 481 youth pitchers between the ages of 9 and 14. Each pitcher was interviewed annually. The researchers found that pitchers who pitched more than 100 innings over the course of a calendar year were 3.5 times more likely to be injured, and that makes perfect sense. The more you pitch at a young age, the more likely that you are to be injured. And what the researchers defined as injury was an elbow surgery, shoulder surgery, or retirement due to a pitching-related injury. The researchers were not able to find any evidence that throwing curveballs before the age of 13 put pitchers at a higher risk. That's one thing that I thought would definitely put young pitchers at a higher risk of injury, throwing curveballs. But all the research that has been gathered says that throwing curveballs does not put you at a higher risk of injury. So that's kind of a common misconception in the baseball world, because you kind of wait for a pitcher to mature physically and mentally for them to be able to throw a curveball. But all the information that has been gathered through research and studies finds that throwing curveballs does not put young pitchers at a risk of injury, or at least a higher risk of injury. And they also found that playing catcher as well as pitching puts young baseball players at a higher risk of injury. So I think this study was one that I definitely will use to inform young pitchers and young baseball players who would like to specialize. Another study that I found very interesting was the purpose of it was to identify the rate in which professional baseball players specialized and the factors that influence them. This study was conducted by Ginsberg in 2014. He surveyed 708 professional baseball players. He found that the mean age of specialization was 15.52 years old. And he found that Latin and South American players were specializing earlier than players from North America. So I just thought that one was interesting as well. And another study that was done kind of along the same lines was conducted by Hill in 1993. He sent questionnaires to 152 professional baseball players, and he found that a majority of the baseball players did not participate in specialization. He said he found that all but one of the players played baseball in high school, which is not surprising. But he found that 68.7% played high school basketball, 59.3% played high school football, 16% ran track and field, 8.7% wrestled, and 7.3% played high school soccer. So as we can see, sports specialization in high school is definitely on the rise, because we see that a majority, 68.7% of high school baseball players, of professional baseball players, played high school basketball. And I just am finding it to be very, very interesting. Moving on to my study that I conducted, I surveyed 31 college baseball players from one particular NCAA affiliated Division I university. It was a mixed methodology, meaning that I included qualitative and quantitative questions. The reason I did that is because I wanted not only statistics, but I wanted in-depth answers, and I wanted some more insight into the perceptions and the minds of the participants. Um, that way, I wasn't just getting numbers, but I really wanted to get into their minds and really figure out their perception of sports specialization and what they think the benefits and detriments are. Um, the participants used Google Forms to fill out this survey, and it was very easy to put together, and it was easy for them to fill out. In the survey included a demographic section, a benefit section, a detriment section, 6 Likert scale questions, 1 closed-ended question, and 4 open-ended questions were included in the benefit and detriment section. At the end of the demographics section, I included a question that was if whether or not they specialized in baseball in high school or earlier. 87.1% of them answered yes. That was 27 out of the 31. And those 27 moved on to the rest of the survey. The 4 that did not specialize in high school or earlier did not have to complete the rest of the survey. What I found was that there are the college baseball players' perception was that there were 2 benefits of specializing in baseball in high school or earlier, and there were 3 possible detriments. And what I found was that one of the questions that I included was specializing in baseball in high school gave me a better chance of playing baseball in college. And 20 out of the 27 participants agreed with this statement, meaning that 20 out of the 27 believed that specializing in baseball increased their chances and gave them an advantage over others, and it gave them an advantage of playing college baseball. 16 out of the 27 participants agreed with this statement. If I did not specialize in baseball, I would not be playing college baseball. I thought that was an interesting stat. So a majority of the participants believe that if they did not specialize in baseball, they would not be playing college baseball. Another benefit that these participants identified was that they learn life lessons through their specialization of the game. I thought that was interesting because as a college baseball player myself, I definitely learned a lot of life lessons through the game. But I think more information could be gathered, because I don't think that you only learn life lessons through one sport. I think you can learn a lot of life lessons through other sports as well. So I think that could be a future study as well. Moving on to the detriments that the participants identified. The main detriment that was identified was that injuries were prevalent among the participants who specialized in baseball. A lot of the participants had required some kind of surgery, or they had torn some kind of ligament or part of their body that required surgery. Some of these included their ACL, their UCL, which means that they required Tommy John surgery, which is a common surgery that baseball players require. A torn labrum, a torn meniscus, a lot of broken bones that have been suffered due to their specialization, and this definitely is a similarity between the research that has already been conducted in my study, is the fact that injuries are prevalent among those who specialize. Another possible detriment to specializing in sport and in baseball at an early age is the chances of suffering of relationships with others due to specialization. 11 of my participants, 11 out of 27 participants, agreed that their relationships with others suffered due to their specialization in baseball. I thought that was a very interesting number, 11 out of 27. On the other hand, only 9 disagreed with that statement, and 7 of them were neutral. So more of the participants thought that their relationships with others suffered than those who disagreed with that statement. I have not found any research on suffering of relationships due to specialization, so that could be another future study as well. And the final possible detriment to specialization that I found, there was also a lot of research on, is the possibility of burnout due to specialization. And what I found amongst my 27 responses to this question: have you ever felt a decrease in passion or drive for baseball caused by specialization? Which means, have you ever felt burnout due to specialization? And only 2 of the participants said yes to this, and one of them was he said yes, my injuries. So he felt burnout because of the injuries that he has sustained due to his specialization. A lot of the research that is already out there states that burnout is a possibility of specialization. And even though only 2 of the participants in my study said that they had felt a loss of drive or passion or burnout, it means that it is a possibility, because I surveyed really talented Division I college baseball players, and 2 of 27 said that they had been burnout. Moving on to the discussion and the implications and the recommendations, I think that overall there are benefits and detriments to specialization, and the benefits would be chances of playing college baseball. According to the college baseball players, they feel that your chances of playing college baseball will increase if you specialize at an early age. And they also believe that life lessons will be learned if you specialize. However, there are risks, injury risks due to specialization. They identified that suffering of relationships may be a possibility, and they also identified that possible burnout is a possibility as well. This study was very entertaining for me. Overall, I enjoyed this class. I had a phenomenal time pursuing this master's degree, and I learned so much about physical education and the topic of sports specialization. And it's something that I'm going to take with me in my career, and it's something that I'm going to be able to inform others about and be able to help others make informed decisions so that they can have the best path to a successful career as they can have. I hope that all of you take in this information and use it as well, and appreciate the information. I'm very excited to watch everybody else's presentation and learn as much as I can and not stop learning, because I know that as soon as you think you know everything, then you don't. So on that note, that's it for my presentation. I thank you all for watching my video, and have a great day. Thank you.